Society today has an obsession with a world of imagery, perhaps because they are constantly exposed to a virtual world. Artist Damien Hirst received much criticism for his piece, This Little Piggy Goes to the Market. There was great controversy around him displaying a dissected pig as a work of art, but he insisted that we be shocked by the image of what we eat and argued that consequently the image thereof should not bother anyone. He further explained that we as humans prefer the pre-packaged, pretty image of bacon rather than the realistic image of the dissected pig. Architecture too has fallen victim to a world of sexy renderings rather than creating meaningful spaces which cater to the everyday life and acknowledge the realities we often try to ignore. Johannesburg's Hillbrow Tower carries the image of Johannesburg along with the image of success and prosperity in contradiction to its history, whilst Hillbrow and Berea, which surround the tower, carry an opposite image of poverty, substance abuse, prostitution and crime. Does this not contradict what architecture should stand for? Hillbrow and Berea have a rich history, all contributing to its socio-economic state today. Hillbrow is extremely dense, with double the density of Hong Kong and 6 times the density of New York City. Due to its density, overcrowding has become a major issue, as it puts much pressure on the services, which leads to unsanitary and unhealthy environments. Hillbrow is particularly known for its crime, drugs, and prostitution. In terms of demographics, the majority of the population are black and fall into the category of youth, 14 to 34 years old. Most of the residents of Hillbrow and Berea do not accept it as a home, but rather as a stepping stone to more affluent areas. This then causes a loss of ownership. The site that I chose is located on the periphery of Berea and touches on Hillbrow. The site is bordered by 3 main vehicular routes, namely Joe Slovo, Louis Botha, and Clarendon Place. Catherine Street can be seen as the divider between Hillbrow and Berea. The site is easily accessible as it is close to public transport nodes and job opportunities. More specifically, the site I've chosen is in a well-used neighborhood park frequented predominantly by local residents or visitors staying nearby, called Alec Gershall Park. I chose the site due to the following requirements: close proximity to schools, public amenities, and religious buildings, an area with a need for space, and highly populated. I have chosen to work with the youth of Hillbrow due to the fact that they're the majority group within Hillbrow. Who are the youth? According to Stats say, they are between the ages of 14 and 34 years old. But in my thesis, I refer to the youth as between the ages of 14 and 26-year-olds. The youth holds all potential when looking at the future realities of our country. I therefore believe that in uplifting the youth, you are uplifting the country. Unemployment rates are extremely high for the youth in South Africa. Many fall victim to crime, prostitution, drugs, and alcohol. There is a strong need for housing in Hillbrow. A quarter of the tenants in Hillbrow and Berea are between the ages of 15 and 26. They leave home early to escape difficult home conditions in the hope of finding work and independence. They often lack skills and education and therefore struggle to find employment and end up homeless and turn to crime to survive. In my thesis, I'll be designing transitional housing for the youth of Hillbrow and Berea area, which will aim to uplift these young adults into becoming independent. I intend to design a building and system which will uplift the image of the youth in Hillbrow to society and themselves. I intend to design for the everyday while focusing on the image of the youth culture. Key principles I will be implementing when responding to the site through design. 1. Create new road connection through the site to activate a strong retail edge for the housing. To split the park from the housing and to create an urban spine through the site. 2. Maintain character of the street edge, especially on Bonato Street across Bonato High School. 3. Create linkages either visually or through routes or systems between Bonato High School, the Rand Clinic, Gorshall Park, and the Children's Library. 4. Maintain visual links towards the Hillbrow Tower. There are many different stakeholders within the context. Involving and building beneficial relationships with them will be key to the success of this project. Essentially, the building will consist of 4 components. 1. The existing housing to be used for staff housing. 2. A youth centre with public facilities to the youth of the area, such as a study centre. 3. The housing component, which is private. 4. Amphitheatre and rock climbing wall, which is open to the public during events. Spatial design in context is a response to the principles mentioned earlier, creating links, spaces, and establishing territories through design. Transitions between territories will be designed subtly. The buildings will be composed of many different territories throughout. There are 3 main key spaces. 1, open piazza spilling out from the youth centre. 2, amphitheatre which can be manipulated to suit its purpose. 3, rock climbing wall, the identifying element of the building, symbolizing the climbing to success. It is to stand as a beacon of hope. Through my design, I hope to achieve an environment where the youth culture can be enjoyed by all, to uplift the image of the youth they have of themselves, as well as the image they carry by society, using architecture not to celebrate itself, but rather to cause celebration.